impressed upon you. And so you want to know, what is it about? Refresh my memory. And so to those who are reading this now, I tell you, these things will resound to your memory as being true. These things may go against what you were taught. And if they do, stop and weigh the truth. Do not assume that everything you are reading or hearing is absolutely so. Use the intellect that is combined with the heart. And ask Spirit, could it be? Is it right? For some of these things will challenge your very core belief systems, everything you've been taught. That's what we do today. For I proclaim that this is lesson 2 of the LightWorkers Handbook. And the first lesson was that of discovering your divinity, of understanding that there is more than you think happening on the earth, the beginning, the harmonic convergence, the increased tools, intuitions, the opening of energy, and your part in it. And that was covered in lesson 1. So we have chosen this astute place for lesson 2. Let the listener and the reader know that the place where this is being given is the origin of Kryon. Among family members that in their human bodies were patient and kind with the engineer, my partner. Those who gave him allowance of no experience and let him be while he found what he needed to find. And so it comes full circle, and he is back here in the energy where it began, not too far where it really started. And the reason we have chosen this venue is because the subject is tough. And it's something that you should know about. The news is not bad news. It is simply profound news. Get ready, for if you have not read this, if you have not heard this before, it will challenge and shake the very core of your belief system, and here it is. The first thing you must know, past the fact that there is divinity within, is that on this planet there is something called duality. And that duality represents itself as the darkest energy you can even conceive of, that is you with your name on it, that comes in with you and does not leave until your last breath. Some have called it the shadow self. Some have called it the dark self. Some have called it evil. Some have called it the dark side. It has a name. It is called duality. It is entirely appropriate. It is part of you. Assigned to you it is at your birth. You do not carry it in from the other side of the veil. For this is the cauldron of duality, the whole reason for the test. And it is indeed a test. The test is, angel, can you come in this even playing field with this duality and find the divinity within you on your own or not? As you might have noticed, each human being must decide for themselves if it is real or not. No amount of discussion without an organization to join or a church to belong to, it is tough, is it not? To have consensus of thought, you must decide individually, without evangelism, without those telling you what to do. But so many of you opening this seeming book, which is a virtual book, it's what you were hearing and listening and reading. When you come into the earth, you get something you didn't plan on. And I want to tell you all about it. I want to tell you how powerful it is. I'm going to give you the examples of it, then I want to tell you what you can do with it. It's yours for the duration. before we go any further, let us discuss what it has done for your history. It is the basis and the core of all religious mythology. It is the basis and the core even for the Greek gods. The duality of humanity has driven all the stories that are about white and black, about good and bad, about dark and light, the powers that are. The human being, even in your culture, is taught that in heaven there was a struggle, which did not occur, and there is no struggle. And in this mythology, an angel actually fell from heaven, and his name was Lucifer. That's tough, because there is no such thing as heaven. There's only home. The place where you are when you're not here. And that fallen angel then is responsible for developing a place of his own, an evil place which you will go to if you don't behave. Does that sound like God to you? Or does that sound like man to you? And you'll go there unless you do something that is to join and be, to proclaim, to get in one of the boxes. Does that sound like God, or does that sound like men? There is no Lucifer. I will tell you something. It's very interesting about humanity. Everything good that happens to you, you say, God is good. Isn't that God? God did this for me. I'm so glad I'm close to God because God did it. And when something bad, human beings often say, this is awful. This is the evil side. The devil got a hold of me. I don't know what happened. They say. It's almost like the humans are not responsible for anything, good or bad. They just float. And if they're lucky, the struggle between God and Satan will be pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled so that God will win eventually if they behave, you see. That's mythology. And what drives it is this unbelief that you have that something so dark could reside in you. The unbelief that something so grand like God could reside in you. Therefore, you give away the power of the good and you give away the power of the bad. And there you sit, often powerless. Oh, here's the truth. There's a piece of God that comes in with you, and we discussed that last time. It resides in you, and it's waiting to be awakened, and it is quantum. It is beautiful. It is light. It is the time of the age. There's a reason why you're being prodded and pulled and sit in a chair, so you'll know you're a part of everything, and you may not know what it is yet, but just your very existence to ask changes the planet. Did you know that? Just being here, listening, helps the planet. Residing also is the darkest of the dark, and it's got your name on it. And we said that. Now here's what the approach is in a 3D fashion for something that doesn't belong. If you have an enemy, you defeat it. In 3D, you go to battle and you kill it. And then it's gone. And you arise victorious and you say, that which was part of the evil in me has been slain, and now it is gone. And we say, how 3D of you. You've watched a lot of movies. And that is not the way it is. It wouldn't make sense in linear world that you are in, would it? To have an enemy that is so profound within you and just let it go. We'll just let it do whatever it wants to do, you might say. Oh, it's an irritant, but I can't do anything with it. And that, my friends, is what happens to over 90% of humanity. And those organizations that make sense of it and package it and give it a name are the ones that you will go to try and deal with it. It's called organized religion. And it has its place, for it is those who search for God in their own way. do not